which would mean I was born in 1866, which is true. Many of you have been asking me if I have any powers, and the answer is yes.
Well guys, it's time for a rough one. Now we've seen a lot of people on this channel who are convinced that they are something that the evidence points towards them not being. But today guys, I think we might have just peaked. You see, the other day I was scrolling through TikTok and I came across this creator who goes by the name of Sam the Vampire. And the video I found myself on was this woman talking about the powers that she has as a vampire. Now at first, I thought this was some sort of parody, some sort of satirical character, but after diving into it further, I think this woman genuinely believes that she's a vampire. Well, maybe she doesn't believe she's a vampire because I know she knows she's not one because, duh. But she is seriously trying to convince her audience that she is a real-life, breathing, blood-sucking vampire. So of course, here we are. So buckle in and prepare yourselves for a barrage of arguments that will probably not leave you feeling very convinced. If they do, then maybe the internet's not for you. Let's begin. Please subscribe.
Many of you have been asking me if I have any powers, and the answer is yes, but I don't like to give away all of my secrets, so I thought I would just give away a few.
Holy moly, I'm kind of feeling special all of a sudden. We're about to get that insider knowledge, baby. These are the secrets Big Vampire doesn't want you to know.
I can read minds sometimes, though it's not like I hear people's thoughts constantly. I have to really focus, and you have to be really open to it.
Alrighty, so right off the bat, I've got my doubts. I feel like we all went to elementary or middle school with somebody like this. For me, it was this girl in the 3rd grade who was convinced she was a witch and took great offense to anybody saying she wasn't. I remember we got into a pretty serious argument about how she couldn't be a witch, so she told me she'd prove it by bringing a melting potion, and well, the next day she did, and at recess, she threw it at me. Turns out it was just bleach, and she got suspended. So Annie, if you ever see this, you still owe me a shirt. And you're not a witch.
I can hypnotize people when I want something, and I can seduce whoever I want.
Okay, that sounds a little bit creepy, if you think about it. Walking around seducing people against their will, what is wrong with you, woman? You need to be locked up.
When threatened, I can exhibit superhuman strength.
Alright, so basically you're just a Twilight vampire. This is my problem with the vampire community. If you want me to take your claims of being a vampire seriously, tone it down, okay? Don't try to go all crazy on me. If threatened, you can exhibit superhuman strength? Really? Okay. Fight Mike Tyson for me, please. It should be an easy payday for you. Like, you need to go back further, back when vampires were just weird guys who bit people. Because I can believe somebody does that in their free time, but no, you can't read minds or hypnotize people or throw trucks into the air. Your skin doesn't sparkle. I mean, come on.
A lot of these things come naturally to all vampires, and some of them are learned. I've spent many years on this earth and have encountered many different types of humans and other creatures that have taught me many, many things. I'm in danger, and my life is being threatened every single day because I've come out of the casket, so to speak, and have come forward with my identity as a vampire.
I think the only thing you're really in danger of is your family members trying to coerce you into therapy, because I don't think anybody's really going to take this seriously. I mean, unless you're out there actually eating people, which is a topic we're going to get to in a minute. I don't think anybody really cares in a serious way if you come on TikTok and say you're a vampire. So to come on here and act like some sort of victim and say that your life is in danger because you pretend to be a vampire on TikTok, I think that sentiment really speaks volumes on this whole situation, more than you pretending to be a vampire does.
Think what you want, believe what you want. If you don't believe me, that's fine. You don't have to. But honestly, it doesn't matter. Because no matter how many years I spend, sometimes I feel so alone.
Okay, I don't really see how that's my problem. Seems like you were kind of going somewhere with the whole if you don't believe me, that's fine thing, but seems like you kind of veered off course there. But if we're being brutally honest here on the topic, if you've been alive for like 200 years and you still haven't found somebody, I think it's time to look inward.
Which is why I created this TikTok, so that I could be vulnerable and share my stories with you all, and hopefully make some friends along the way. I have so many stories of adventures, love, loss. I'm gonna be here long after you're all gone. I'm glad that I have this platform to take down my innermost thoughts. And I know that you're all thirsting to hear more.
Okay, please don't do that again. Quick question, ever heard of a diary? I think objectively that's a better place than TikTok to document your innermost thoughts, but hey, you do you. I mean, really, what's the end goal here? I mean, you're saying you're gonna be around longer than any of us. What happens when, that doesn't happen because you're not a vampire? Do you just stop making content online when you start visibly aging? I mean, seriously, what are you gonna do? Is this some weird attention thing? I mean, seriously, what's the end goal? Why would anybody spend their days doing this? I don't get it. Now, I was gonna go through her vampire origin story with you guys, but then I started to scroll and I kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I soon found out that her origin story is a 5-part series with each video being 3 minutes long. So I don't think anybody wants to sit here for 15 minutes and listen to a poorly written creative writing exercise, so I'm going to give you the short version. So in 1888, she was walking through the dark streets of London. It was nighttime and she was walking back from her sister's house, and she was kidnapped by none other than Jack the Ripper. She was taken to a dark, gloomy dungeon. She was cut open. She was assaulted. She was stabbed over and over and over again. Apparently, Jack cut open her stomach and removed her intestines. And as she lay there dying, a cloaked individual stumbled across the scene and made quick work of Jack. He threw him across the room and then walked over to him and then ripped his jugular out of his neck with his own hands. He then ate his neck and face, walked over to Miss Sam here and gave her the vampire bite that turns you into one, it doesn't kill you, and saved her life. And no, I'm not joking. This is what this grown woman is saying happened to her on TikTok. I mean, this is really not far off like making a cosplay of a Jeffrey Dahmer victim or something, fantasizing about almost being the last victim of one of the most famous serial killers in history, and saying your vampire hero is the one who killed him, that's why he was never found. I mean, what? I mean, if you really want to go on social media and say you're a vampire, I guess go for it, no harm, no foul really. But when you start incorporating into your story real victims of real events, you've gone a bit too far.
So one of the questions I get asked a lot is if my face changes when my fangs come out. The answer is yes. I think the closest thing I could describe it would probably be like in Vampire Diaries when their faces start to change. I mean, in real life, it's a little bit more menacing, but yes, our faces change when our fangs come out.
Look, I don't care what you're explaining to me. It doesn't even have to be vampire related. If you say about anything that the depiction in Vampire Diaries was the most realistic, you have lost all credibility with me, and it's probably gonna stay that way.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm gonna say this for any new followers or old followers or anyone who's confused. I got banned from doing lives for misinformation, for saying I'm a vampire.
Is part of being a vampire taking 10 minutes to get to the point of every video you make? I mean, my goodness. I know I can kind of talk a little bit fast sometimes, but dragging out every single word you say does not make what you're saying any more meaningful.
Well, if I have to make this video for the trolls out there, if you have a problem with me saying I'm a vampire, why are you here? Why don't you just tell yourself that I'm an actress or a thespian or that this is satire instead of taking the time out of your day to report me for saying I'm a vampire? Like, do you have nothing better to do with your life? What? But anyway.
Alrighty, a couple things. First off, please do not ask me if I have nothing better to do with my life, as you are spending your days pretending to be a mythical creature onto the internet. Secondly, as a professional hater, I hate this argument. The whole, oh, if you don't like it, why even bother commenting or watching it? Just don't interact with it, it doesn't bother you. Now, I'm not saying you should report people doing stuff like this, but I do kind of find it hilarious that she got banned for spreading misinformation. But with the way social media works these days, it's not that uncommon common for you to come across something you don't like on accident. I mean, sure, if you're actively searching out stuff you don't like just to leave mean comments, that's one thing, but I did not actively search out woman pretending to be a vampire to find this. This just popped up for me, and I'm allowed to have a reaction. I'm allowed to have an opinion on what's shown to me. I've said it a million times before, and I will continue to say it over and over and over again. If you're not ready for all kinds of reactions, including negative, don't post something onto the internet. Now, I could continue to go through this woman's page, but I feel like I'd end up just repeating myself. I feel like this is just another byproduct of the whole vastness of the internet thing I've talked about before. Basically, if you've never heard my spiel, I believe that the internet has gotten so big and expansive that no matter how insane your platform or beliefs are, there's always going to be some group of people out there who are going to back you up, and it leads to stuff like this. If you go through this woman's comments, it's nothing but support. It's nothing but people who actually have tricked themselves into thinking this woman is a vampire. For comparison, 15 years ago, or whenever I was in 3rd grade, it was not like this, and guess what? I don't think that girl who threw bleach on me thinks she's a witch anymore. Well guys, what are your thoughts? Have I made a grave mistake? Will an army of vampires show up at my doorstep tonight? Even if they do, luckily for me, I know you're supposed to invite vampires into your house and then they can't come in, so checkmate, Samantha. I know all your tricks. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and walk on over to that subscribe button and touch it. It's free. It won't cost you anything. But for now, that's all I have for you today. Bye.
Subscribe.